Hey, it's Tim. On our current podcast, the 2016 WGI Color Guard Wrap-Up. This is always a really great, fun, very popular podcast. We talk about all our favorite shows, memorable moments, highlights of the season, trends in the activity. But I gotta tell you, we never talk about WGI Color Guard anymore without getting into a discussion about Class A Color Guard and all of the issues that are there. It seems like it's really tricky to figure out what the judges are looking for, what's the appropriate level to write for, to design for. How do you know how much to teach your students or what they're capable of or how to write at the right level? Well, we get into all of that again on this podcast, especially talking about what seems to be a phenomenon of the instructors writing and designing and asking the students to do things that are maybe beyond them. And this really gets into a safety issue for the students. As one of our people in the podcast mentions, and even at the novice level, you can see students being asked to throw a 5 or trying to throw a 5 or a 6, and yeah, they can catch it, but are they throwing it correctly? Are they catching it correctly? Well, no. And also there's, possibly a danger issue there and safety of the students. So we get into a discussion about what's appropriate to write for these students. I've seen this my whole life. Way back when I was in high school and I was in piano competitions, there were always those students who everyone seemed to agree, or the music teachers seemed to agree, they were playing music that was too hard for them. But of course they would come out there and it would be very impressive. And sometimes they would win. Even though, if you had a skilled ear, you would say, they're really not in a position to be able to play this piece of music yet. And of course, dance teachers talk about this all the time. Where dance competitions, everyone wants to be able to do all these tricks that they see the dancers on TV do. And they're doing all of these very advanced skills when they really don't have the technique and the training that they're ready for it. It's dangerous and it's not good for the student. But, they will admit, as we've said on other podcasts, they will admit that they throw those in, even if it's not appropriate for the music or for the dance, just because it scores. So we need to talk about that, and there's a discussion on part 2, especially of our WGI wrap-up for this year, where we talk about what's appropriate, how to know how to write the right level, and make sure the training and the technique is in place and the students are ready for the skills we're asking them to do. So I hope you'll find that interesting as well as I do. It's a great discussion, and it's fun to talk about all the shows we love too, so make sure you listen on the current podcast.
Have a question for a roundtable talk? Or have a suggestion for a podcast topic or guest? Go to marchingroundtable.com and click here on feedback or here on Ask Tim a Question. Don't forget you can always find podcasts on topics that interest you by searching in our podcast archives. And when you go to YouTube to watch a Roundtable Talk video, make sure and subscribe so you never miss a single episode of Roundtable Talk.